Today we're going to talk about stalls. So what is a stall? So quite simply, a stall is where you have a period of time where you plateau, your weight loss stops. The scales, and when I talk about weight loss, I talk about the scales don't move. And the stall can be quite frustrating for someone who's new to gastric surgery, and we'll talk about why. So why does the body stall? But this is really key to understanding and being able to get through a stall positively. So the reason the body stalls is because literally our body is a survival machine. So we are designed right down to the very last calorie within our body, whether it's an organ or it's fat or whatever it is, the body will consume itself rather than allow the body to die. So when you actually go on a diet, your body goes into survival mode and it begins to protect you. So part of that protection that it does is actually to hold on to fat. Now generally when you've had a diet in the past, what you've done is you've lasted for a period of time, you've been on this diet and then your will has given in. With gastric surgery, what actually happens is that you can't actually give in unless you actually cheat and start to drink your calories. You can't literally take in more calories than what it is actually your stomach size will allow you to take in. So that's the benefit of gastric surgery, is that stalls happen whether you're dieting or whether you've had gastric surgery. It's being able to get through those stalls and understanding what's going on in your body. Your body is fighting you. Your body is warring against your mind in order to get you to eat more so it can hold on to that fat that it sees as really important. It does not see the fat as bad. That's the problem. It doesn't see fat as bad. It sees it as survival calories. The question is, why does it fight us for it? In the past, when we were cavemen or whatever we were in history, even in recent history, we go through feasts and famines. So it wasn't always plentiful where you could go down to Woolies or Coles and pick up a frozen meal or duck off to the local McDonald's and pick yourself up something. You literally had to go out and hunt for your food and gather your food, farm your food, and that took energy. And sometimes it could be weeks in between meals, it could be a week in between meals. So the body learned to adapt and learned to survive based on calories deficits for extended periods of time. That's what fat is actually for. It gives us a buffer. Unfortunately, in our modern society, we have so much food and so much of a buffer that we continue to store it, and it becomes an unhealthy part of our life where we end up dying from obesity and fat-related illnesses such as heart failure, high cholesterol, leading to all sorts of conditions, and obviously things like blood sugar issues as well. So what are the things you can do through a stall to make sure that you remain on track? I think the first and the most obvious one is to understand that pauses and stalls are a natural part of the journey. And if you understand that your body's fighting you, you'll actually, like I do, have a little bit of a smile about it and go, I'm going to win this one. I'm actually going to win this battle. I'm going to get through this no matter how long this stall takes. I'm going to stay positive, and I'm going to make sure I'm doing everything right through this stall to make sure I get out the other side, and then I'll end up in quite a rapid weight loss scenario. Usually that's what comes out of a stall, is a fairly rapid weight loss, and you end up catching up on the weight loss you may have missed out on during that stall process. Stay positive is the number one thing. The number two thing you can do during a stall is to stay hydrated. So a lot of us spend most of our lives dehydrated, or we're drinking coffee and thinking that's going to actually solve a lot of our issues as far as hydration goes. But the best thing you can drink during to stay hydrated is plain old and simple water. So making sure you're getting that 1.5 litres of water a day into your system. Do the pinch test on your skin to make sure that you are hydrated. If you're just aiming for at least that 1.5 litres, and if you're doing exercise, make sure you're actually intaking more. Makes you feel good, your skin is good, it actually assists your metabolism as well, and in the processing of food that you're actually intaking. Number 3 is stay on top of eating your protein. So this is about the same thing that we talk about all the time, that is making sure you're getting that 70 grams of protein a day. Now the question always comes up about whey protein and using liquids. My philosophy is, and I don't use whey protein at all. I don't do weights, I don't do a lot of hard physical exercise where I'm not able to get in that 70 grams of protein through natural food. The reason we use Dr. G is because his process allows for us not to have to go on a liquid diet before or after. Why would we subject ourselves to it? Real food is the engine room for weight loss. Real protein is the engine room for weight loss. So having that 70 grams a day, making sure you're sticking to it, eating your proteins first before anything else is imperative to you getting through this stall. And in the process, what's actually going to happen is where you're actually feeling a little bit down about potentially not the scales not moving, you're actually going to feel full. You're actually going to feel satiated. You're going to feel like you're not missing out on anything. And when that stall does end, and it will, you'll come out the other side with good habits. So 70 grams of protein, eat your protein first. And the final thing I'm going to talk about is actually exercise. So depending on your level or your level of fitness prior to actually having gastric surgery is going to determine what sort of exercise that you're able to do going forward. So if you're not used to actually doing any exercise at all, you're not going to be jumping in and going and doing CrossFit sessions and going and doing aerobics. You may end up starting at just walking around the block, walking around your yard, walking up and down some stairs. You may go for a walk in the pool if you have a lot of problems with joints, which a lot of overweight people do have. Those sort of issues, the pool is a great place to actually get yourself into exercise. During a stall, what I would say is add 10% additional to whatever it is that you're doing. The key here is movement. If you are sedentary all day, every day, it's going to take longer for you to lose weight, bottom line. But if you're actually moving and making sure that you are concentrating on hitting a number of steps a day and having a fitness tracker that will actually track those steps, you're going to find yourself with more success than someone who doesn't actually move at all. So add 10% to that. So one of the things, if you find that you're going backwards, and when we say backwards, that is actually that you've put on weight, just understand it's going to be temporary. So there's a mathematical equation that goes on here. Your body needs X amount of calories to actually function on a day-to-day basis. And there are lots of BMI related calculators online, and I'll put a one here for you to follow, and there'll be one in the description of the video or in the post that I place here, that you'll see that what you can actually do is work out what is my base resting metabolic requirement to function. And what you'll notice is that if you're actually tracking your food through something like MyFitnessPal, they're actually in deficit. That's the whole point of gastric surgery, is that you're going to be in deficit. So there's a mathematical certainty that at some point you are going to lose weight. Now, there's a couple of caveats to this, and I think this is the key. Before I recap on the things that are required to that we've already spoken about to get you through these stalls. The caveat is that you don't drink your calories, and I've already talked about it in this video, but it's so important. When we start talking about alcohol and whey protein, the reason I am so militant about not using liquids, boost juice, juices, fruit juices in general, milk, all of these things where we go, oh, well, it's got protein in it, oh, it's juice, it's good for me. Problem is that when you go to, say, somewhere like Boost Juice and you get this juice that's supposed to be really healthy, it's fruit juice, it's good for me. your body cannot consume, and usually like in a boost juice, you might get something that's made from apple and watermelon. It might have half a watermelon in it, or a quarter of a watermelon, 2 apples, some 10 strawberries, all juiced down into this compact, calorie-laden drink that you can actually consume really, really fast, even with a gastric sleeve. So the problem we've got here is the consumption of calories through liquid, and the same goes for alcohol. I'm a big proponent of you having a drink. I do. I do every weekend. I have a wine. I have a beer. I have a vodka if I want a scotch if I so feel like it, or if I'm watching the football or sport. I will enjoy a beverage. But what I won't do is go berserk and drink a lot of it or every night, because I know that it's actually drinking calories. Okay, our bodies will process liquids a lot quicker. The same goes for whey protein, and this is why I talk about whey protein all the time. Is that whey protein isn't just made up of the powder. That powder, that's 2 or 3 scoops of powder that you put in to your mixer in the morning, isn't just protein. Every scoop is not protein. There's a delivery system that protein is encapsulated in, and that delivery system contains calories. That thing that you taste when you have that protein drink, and if it's a low calorie one, you go ew or yuck. If it's just a normal whey protein drink, then you're going to be taking in a few calories with that protein. Okay, you get to your 70 grams, but you've actually done it through liquids, which means 2 things. You're not as full as you would be. You're not as full as you would be if you had that 70 grams of food. And that's really important. Why? Because you want to feel, and this is the mental side of this, you actually want to feel like you're not missing out. And I can tell you now, you have a liquid breakfast, you will be hungry in an hour to 2 hours time. Okay? You will feel like you've missed out. You have some scrambled eggs, or you have a vegetarian option, mushrooms, or whatever it is that you're having as far as your breakfast, most important cornerstone meal of the day. You're going to feel full for hours. So I'll have scrambled eggs in the morning, or I'll have an omelette in the morning, and then by 11 to 12 o'clock I haven't even thought about food. Okay, milk, and we'll go back to this whey protein side of things, right? So we add, it's not only the whey proteins, the things we end up adding to it that end up causing us grief. So when I say adding to it, we add milk to it. There's nothing wrong with milk per se. However, it's the calories that sit in milk that is the problem. So if you get your low calorie whey protein and you just do it with water and that's it, you're probably going to be okay. But if you then add milk to it, if you then go, oh, I might just add a squirt of chocolate topping, or I might add a banana, or I might add this, or I might add that, and you end up with this really nice, beautiful drink, and you go, oh, look at this, it's so yum, and it's whey protein, but there's all the additions in it that could end up sabotaging your weight loss. Okay, so they're the caveats that I'm talking about when it comes to, that I wanted to talk about when it comes to stalls. Don't cheat yourself. So quite often we can sit there and go, oh, I'm doing everything right, but deep down inside we know we're not. Okay, so you can tell anyone in Facebook groups or your friends or your relatives that you're doing everything by the book. You've had a gastric sleeve and you can only eat this amount of calories, but bottom line, if you are stalling all the time, or you have a months and months where you're stalling, you've got to have a look at your own head and don't cheat yourself. And I think that's the key. Don't cheat yourself. Doesn't matter what other people think, it's what's going on with you. So we'll recap now. The things that we've got to really focus on here are, the first is staying positive, the second is staying hydrated, the third is staying on track with protein, the fourth is get moving, or stay on track with your movement, exercise, whatever it is and whatever stage you're up to as far as that your exercise goes. And with the caveats of not drinking your calories, staying away from drinking your calories. If you do these things, you will get through that stall. Your stall will be shorter and you'll be back on track and losing weight. Have a great day.